Hi, my name is Rachel and welcome to How to Connect to Saturn. Saturn is the ancient Roman god of seed sowing. He is also a god of blight. It was considered that he could both cause and prevent blight. To the ancient Romans, he had ruled over a golden age, and in this golden age, he had taught humans how to cultivate the land. His worship was considered essential for the health of crops, and he was particularly connected to the winter sowing. And in this period, he had his feast day and festival, Saturnalia. He is a great guide and guardian for you in your relationship with your own seeds, whether they be literal seeds, as in you're a gardener or a farmer that has seeds that you want to be protected and to be healthy. He can support you with that. And also metaphorical seeds, so the seeds that are our dreams, our wishes, our intentions, our objectives. I often think of him as the grandfather energy, the grandfather's shed in the garden where the tools and the seeds are kept safe over winter. He can also help you to cultivate life, to live a life that is full and fulfilled, vibrant and happy. He brought that energy forward in Saturnalia, where people would be celebrating life. So he can help you to discern the practices, the habits, the patterns. He's very practical energy that can support you in putting in those structures that are going to help you to thrive. And so here are my top 3 tips for connecting to him. My first tip is to actually work with him in union with his consort. And his consort is Ops, who's also a goddess of seed sowing and the goddess of abundance. And together they form this union around seed sowing, where one is about the thoughts and the ideas and one is about the action. So they're working together and they can support you with your dream seeds and the way that you're looking after them. She is going to help you kind of around the why and the what. So what are your dreams and why do you want to plant them? And then Saturn is then going to help you with the where and the when. So you can see how they kind of had this duality that is going to come together in union to really help you to cultivate the ground and to plant those seeds so those seeds are healthy and have sustainable, strong growth. So I would recommend working with them together. And if you're going to create an altar space, a ceremony or a ritual to connect to your dream seeds, to cultivate with that idea of cultivating life and growth, is to symbolically have both of them represented. And you may want to do that through the colors. So you may want to have black and gold. You may want to have something like a planner. So putting down your notes and your thoughts in a planner, structure in there. But then incense while you're doing that, which is going to be Ops and connecting to those thoughts and those ideas. And what does that seed represent and need and want? You may also want to represent them, black and the gold, with things like the candles or the altar cloth or your clothing. You may want to bring gold, into your ritual, your ceremony, your altar, your dress, to represent them as the deities of prosperity and abundance and fertility. I'm also going to pop down below this the video that I've already done all about Ops that you can read and you can learn more about her. So my second tip is about Saturn as this god of structure or routine. So there is a time when it is best to sow seeds. If you're a gardener or a farmer, you know this, that there's a set time, almost like a structure that nature has that supports itself, that it needs, that things come in their right time when they're needed. And he reflects that and he asks you to consider patterns and habits that are going to support you, like I said, to cultivate life. So I actually have some questions for you to consider. Maybe you want to journal around these or write them down, just to consider when it comes to routine, what is going to support you? How are you going to cultivate the land Just like he taught the humans how to cultivate the land for literal crops, for growing, how are you going to cultivate the land of your dreams, of your ideas? How are you going to prepare it? So not just expecting things to grow or to happen, but how are you going to make that soil ready? So, so first I want you to think of a goal or an intention that you have, perhaps something that you want to cultivate, that you want to plant, that you want to grow. And then the first question we're going to ask is simple as, what am I planting? What exactly are you planting? What is it that you want to grow? So I wouldn't plant pumpkin seeds if I wanted to have a tomato plant. I know it sounds obvious, but really, what do you want to grow? Get really specific about it. So, for example, you think, I want to lose weight. Okay, how much? What are your kind of intermediary goals? So maybe you want to use 2 stone, but maybe you're going to have a goal that's going to be half a stone first. When do you want to lose it by? And actually, before I go on to my next point, just thinking about that also you may want to kind of have just consider with ops as well, just bringing her in, just the why behind that. Why exactly do you want, say, the example, say, to lose weight? What is the actual motivation behind that? Just consider that when you're answering that first question. And then the second question, where do I hope or want or will plant these seeds? So, for example, with this one, say you wanted, I want to be more creative. The where with this would be, okay, so you want to be more creative, but where's that outlet going to be? Or where are you going to express that? Where are you going to plant those seeds? Do you want to be more creative in the workplace? Do you want to bring that creativity, perhaps bring in a hobby? So you're going to find a time, you're going to set time up, every week, a few hours where you're painting or you're doing crochet or you're gardening. Or do you want to be more creative in your relationships? Where do you want to plant that exactly? Personal life, work life, a specific place? Do you want to do it at home? Do you want to start painting your house or your garden? Or do you want to do it as a project with other people, perhaps? The third question is, when do I want to plant the seeds? So consider the timing and seasons. You may want to consider astrological time. So maybe you want to plant with the new moon rather than kind of the waning moon. So you may want to consider astrologically and seasonally. So do I want to begin this thing in the spring when my energy is rising? Or is it something that's more about coming into me and an introverted activity, or, healthcare, and I want to start doing that in the autumn or something like that? And also, on a practical note as well, also considering kind of your needs and your expectations. So for example, if you want to say your objective, the seed you wanted to plant is, I want to be more fit, I want to do more exercise. Consider when your energy is the highest. When does it fit in for you? Say you always have more time in the morning, that's when the family are asleep, or you have more energy, so the morning may be the time that you plan and put into your planner with Saturn when to go for an extra long walk or when to do some yoga, etc. So my third tip is to be celebrating Saturnalia. So this is Saturn's feast day, and originally it was just on the 17th of December. Throughout the Roman period, that expanded, and it was such a good festival, they decided, we want to do this a little bit more, and it became a few days, even sometimes up to a week, up to sometimes around the 21st, the 22nd. And for the ancient Romans, this feast day, like I said, it was a really good festival, so they had lots of fun. So there was some things that were out of the norm, so slaves would have some time off. Shock, horror. People are allowed to gamble in public. You didn't have to sometimes work. There'd be big feast days, that feasts, and banquets for the family. They would get together, they would wear paper hats. These paper hats were an imitation of their normal kind of soft hats that the Romans would wear around the house. Kind of like we have slippers, they would have like a soft hat that the men would put on when they came inside. So this was considered a really important time, you know, the winter sowing, celebrating Saturn and the abundance and the prosperity that hopefully he would bring by celebrating and worshipping him. So I invite you to also spend this time in having your own festive, you know, season and activities. And some of you may be doing this already with Christmas, but if that's not for you, then this is another alternative option where you can come together with your family, have things like the food, you know, so about celebrating the abundance, prosperity you have in your life. Also make it fun, because that was part of Saturnalia, to play games, to have they had, you know, a king of mischief that would be kind of giving some fun things to do. So maybe you want to have that, and also it'd be a really good time to set some seeds, some intentions for the family as a collective. While you're together, we have our own dreams and intentions, don't we? But we can also do this for our family. So while you're together, perhaps think about, what as a family do we want to cultivate in this next year or this next month? What do we want to have present? And perhaps light some candles and together set this intention. Or if you're a family, involve the kids in kind of setting this plan or this altar for what's going to come forward for you as a family in the next year. So those are my top 3 tips. If you want to know more about Ops, like I said, I'm going to post a video down below. You can find out about her here on YouTube. Also, in my book Pantheon the Romans, I share more about Ops and Saturn. They were some of the principal gods of ancient Rome. And so in Pantheon the Romans, I explore the gods and goddesses, priests, priestesses, temples, religious ceremonies and rituals, festivals of ancient Rome, and give you tips and tools for connecting to them. So do check out that book if you want to find out more about them in that way. They do have their own sections, so you can enjoy that. If you have any further questions now, then you can just pop them down below in the comments here. If you have any sharings or takeaways or questions you want to ask to my community, you can come into my Facebook group. If you don't want to ask in public at all, you can just DM me. I'm happy for you to do that on social media. Probably Instagram is the best place to catch me. So like I said, any of those questions, pop them down below. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic Saturnalia if you choose to celebrate it. And I hope that this supports, inspires and empowers you. And I hope that your connection with Saturn really cultivates life and fun and joy in your life. Much love.